You're listening to The A Show, and no, my name is not Dopey. All right. We are back on The A Show, episode 160. The Kings of Pro Wrestling, guys. We didn't know before we turn on the recording.
At some point, this recording is just a number. At this point, we do what we can. We do what we does every week. That's all you need to know. Episode numbers don't matter anymore. We are here. We're omnipotent. We are here no matter what.
You're very animated today.
Am I? Okay. All right. Well, you know what? It might be ever since, 45. Yeah. Got kicked out. Actually, it's been really, really nice outside. It's like the weather has been great. People have been nicer. People are it's just a much better feeling, much better than the dystopia that I thought we would have entered last week. By the time last week, I was like, no, for sure. We're doomed. Period.
How was it on Saturday? Like, I know that, it was raining here, so it was and where I live at, there wasn't really anyone close. But what was it like in New York? Did you go out and party?
I did not go out and party. On Saturday, I actually took my niece out all day. But from what I saw, from everything that I saw, it was extremely jubilant. It was extremely, you would have thought this was like the second coming of, like, I don't know, I don't want to say Jesus. You would have thought it was something very, very cool. And it was, actually. This is something that we've all been anticipating, all been hoping for, and we just hoped America would get it together after a while, and we did. So, you know what? Cause for celebration. Why not?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I have a new microphone, so that's also a plus.
But with the celebration, I have to ask everyone something, because we're going to get a little bit serious.
Ooh. Serious already?
Without being interrupted.
Absolutely. We're getting serious right now because last week, while it was a very nail-biting, very stressful week, by Saturday, the election was all but called. But on Saturday, there were a lot of people within the wrestling industry who were not happy and who were expressing their thoughts. And I'm just here to say, shut the fuck up. At the end of the day, and here's the thing: there are a couple people like Jericho, like Drake Wirtz, the NXT QAnon supporter, NXT referee, Brian Cage. I saw Karrion Kross, former NXT champion, all showing support for these rabid conspiracy theories. Insane batshit election results. Let's be clear here. Joe Biden won. He won by a lot. He won by a whole fucking lot. And if this is and what's scary, Meelz, is that as joyous as we are, there are a lot of people that still feel that doom, and there are people that perpetrate it. And I just really wonder sometimes, like, at what point was it Facebook? Was it all of these apps? Was it the internet? Was it what caused people's brains to break? And more often than not, it has been people who people will listen to or more often will look up to.
Yeah.
I'm here today on this segment of sorry if this offends. I don't really care if this offends or not. Wrestlers, I don't give a fuck about what your political leanings are, and you need to shut the fuck up. We don't deserve our supports. We don't deserve our support for spreading rabid lies and bullshit. Like, Meelz, if you go on Drake Wirtz's Instagram stories right now, he is literally posting alt-right QAnon conspiracy theories about the election. Now, mind you, he's taking the WWE out of his name, but there are people like Nia Jax who are buying into this and liking these posts.
Yes. All right. So like automatically means I need to see much more from Nia Jax in terms of like actual thoughts and stuff like that. Well, I don't know.
She supported his child trafficking thing. So that should tell you where she leans on him.
Oh, wow. Terrible. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I definitely needed that extra confirmation because sometimes I do feel like people generally like just go on a liking spree, whether they like things or not. But I completely understand where you're coming from. And I completely understand, like, I think in terms of political stances, wow, we got really serious really quickly. In terms of political stances on professional wrestling, I would honestly keep it as far away from, but it's tough in this era of social media to really kind of do that because everyone kind of is not an entity owned by WWE. Everyone's kind of their own person. So it's kind of tough. But at the same time, it's like, yo, if you trust me, if you support Trump, if you support any sort of bigoted thoughts, the huge white supremacist thoughts that have been, rolling and spiel. And if you're even suggesting like, oh yeah, our country will, once we get this recount thing going, we'll be right back in action. Yeah, you're getting clipped 100%. I have no sympathy for you. I have no, I just have, and it's weird and it sucks that I guess political things can come between us. But at some point over the last 4 years, it became much more than political. It became,
nasty.
Social is economic kind of breakdown, a lot more racism, a lot more things. It became a lot more. So I remember there was a post sometime last week. It's like, if someone voted for Trump, would you consider them not your friend? I'm like, I'd have to ignore a lot to still consider them a friend at this point of the game. Like I would have to ignore a lot. So no, I actually can't ignore that. So yeah, Drake, sorry, get the hell out of here. I'm only going to see you as the zebra you are, who counts to 3 in this ring. And currently now my new favorite referee is Asia Smith from NXT, who's the black female referee who dates, what's my man's name?
Leon Ruff.
There we go. That's my guy too. So yeah, that's my new favorite referee now.
It is, again, if you're spreading this like far left rhetoric, they're stealing the election, stop the steal. You can look at the numbers. It's just so fucking scary to me.
Yo, drop a flex bomb. Do you have a flex bomb on you?
It's just so
there we go.
It's so fucking scary to me that throughout all of this, people are denying science, denying common sense, denying numbers. Like, where the fuck are we gonna be at in a couple of years with all of this shit, right? Like, the numbers are there.
Yeah.
You can't fake 74 million people. It's just not possible. Like, how many dead people do they think? Like, I'm seeing this rhetoric be spread by people who, let's be clear, want these people to start unions, to speak up on social things that happen in the world, that have an opinion on. Like, these are the people whose opinions you care about. Like, there are people who hang on every single thing that these people do, Meelz. And this is an example of why you shouldn't. People, they love singing Judas, but when it comes to liking Donald Trump shit and doing all this other shit, but when it comes to joking NXT for ratings, that's cool. But when it comes to that, no one has anything to say. Right? That's
Absolutely.
Bullshit. That's bullshit. This is why I'm not going to support that man. This is why I'm not going to support a lot of people within WWE as well. Let's just be clear. Like we had that conversation about Riddle a couple weeks ago, and we're gonna have to talk about him a lot today. But I had to.
Yeah. We're gonna have to talk about him for a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about him regardless. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's like I'm not looking at this person and saying, "Well, I'm gonna base, my whole life upon what this guy thinks." This is why you shouldn't. It's crazy, bro. But that is. Sorry if this offends. We had to do it a little bit early today.
Of course. Listen.
It's a monumental week, though.
It's 100% a monumental week. I think as long as we've done this podcast. Listen, I've been doing podcasting since, I guess, the Obama administration, which makes me sound old now, but I'll take it because I sound wild, veteran-like in the podcast world. I've been doing podcasts since the, Obama administration. The day, actually, when Trump got elected, I was doing two belts. It was Carlos's birthday. It was probably one of the worst days ever that it kind of existed. And what proceeded for the next 4 years have been like kind of really nasty. And even look at the state of our country now. I mean, the fact that even all those other Americans, no offense to them, just kind of voted that way, not even seeing the state of the country we're in now. We're at 120,000 cases per day, and we're not even going down. And we're in a complete, I mean, it's a third wave for some of the other countries, second wave for New York, but we're not even going down. And the fact that people, sometimes I like to take the politicalness out of the show, but I feel like we have some sort of a duty. And I think we're kind of, I don't know if we're the only wrestling podcast that's necessarily going to do this, but I feel like you can understand it from a lot of the things that we've ranted about over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Why we feel so strongly about this and why we feel so strongly about our people and stuff like that. And why we feel so strongly about it in the wrestling world. We kind of, social media has kind of made and mixed everything and and made things a lot more apparent. And honestly, I'm a lot more glad it's made things a lot more apparent, because the last thing I would want to do is support anybody who supports ideals like those.
Man, wrestlers are pieces of shit. But think of how many people that are saying it out loud, and think of how many people aren't saying anything at all. Let's just be clear. I mean, yeah, you get your Sami Zayns, your Mustafa Ali's, your Kevin Owens. Think about it, people.
Mustafa.
Like you know, think about what they're saying, what the other people are saying behind closed doors that don't say anything. That's why, like in a real weird, fucked up way, I respect like the Jackson Rikers and the Drake work, because they're letting you know, hey, this is what I am. So it makes it easier for us to be like, okay, fuck off, right? So yeah, that is our election comments on last week. I know last week we were very optimistic. Last Tuesday it was very monumental. Was I? we were optimistic. We weren't trying to lean too far left or right. I think we were. I don't mean politically, but I mean like we weren't trying to lean to the positive or the negative of it. So we stayed pretty well mannered last week. I'll say.
Well, listen, whoever booked this election. Like, whoever it was the booking job on this, I don't know if it's the ghost of Dusty Rhodes. I don't know if it's any sort of thing. Whoever booked this election,
please stop. Please stop. Please stop. We can't do 70 days of this.
No, I can. I could barely do the 4 days of that. I thought I was pretty cool going into Tuesday. I was like, whatever happens, happens. Like, we're already in the mud. Like, it doesn't even fucking matter at this point. And then it's like, okay, it's still not, we're still counting votes. And I'm like, well, can we count it quicker? Like, how does this work? And then apparently, no, you can't count it quicker, but it's a whole, and then you saw the kind of like, the shift from Trump to Biden after I thought it was over, and you saw the shift, and then eventually it was taking over and then we won. And I was like, wow, what a great story. But whoever booked this, don't do this again, period.
Yeah, I was like, on Tuesday, but then like Pat said something really cool to me. He was like, well, at this point, Hillary had already lost. So, I mean, you're going to bed not knowing is a lot better than going to bed knowing.
That's true.
I was like, you're right. Hillary was done by 7:30 p.m. and this was like when literally everyone, we all went to sleep and woke up and Biden was in the lead. And we were like, what the hell just happened? That's literally what happened. And again, thanks to everyone and shout out to everyone who voted for the first time, voted period. This should be more proof that you're voting.
Mail-in voters like me, gang. Shout out to the mail-in voters who showed up, who didn't show up.
But thank you everybody who again, helped change the world for the better, hopefully, and we can get this guy out. Just don't, if you have to, once again, stay off social media, listen to this show. Don't look at all the BS that's coming out of it. You know the truth. We all know the truth. So going into No Holds Barred, Survivor Series is set to honor The Undertaker's 30 years in the business this year with a special show commemorating his history. Not quite sure what they're going to be doing. Of course, we already know they have a slate of content for the WWE Network this month that reflects all of this, but I'm not quite sure of what the show is going to be. What do you think is going to be, Meelz?
Well, first of all, before that, like they sent out the press release for this entire thing. And it's not only just like, yes, the WWE YouTube page has an Undertaker thing. I've seen more Undertaker content on YouTube than I've ever seen ever in my life. It's got his best tombstones. It's got him versus modern day opponents. It got his best matches. It's got his best, et cetera, et cetera. Not only that, they have decided, via this press release, WWE noted in today's announcement that the celebration also includes Taker photos, videos featured on WWE website, a Taker challenge on TikTok. I have not seen it, but feel free to point me in that direction if you guys see a Taker challenge on TikTok. Instagram and Snapchat filters.
Bad Bunny's gonna be a part of the Taker challenge.
I mean, that's the only way it would get popping, to be honest with you. I can't see much more people diving into this Taker challenge, but shout out to WWE for being very proactive on that. Exclusive Funko items from Amazon. So, if you want to get your limited edition Undertaker Year 30 Funko, there it is. And feature space in 2,300 Walmart stores for an exclusive Mattel action figure, et cetera, et cetera. He's going to be everywhere, it looks like, leading up to this, as if he wasn't everywhere for the thing. But yeah, he's going away. And they're saying he going out with a bang. So I think this is unprecedented in the way they've done this. I mean, they've done the whole send-off day after WrestleMania thing, but I don't think we've had an entire pay-per-view pretty much promoted. Like, yes, it's Survivor Series, but also Undertaker's farewell. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. I mean, Survivor Series is probably going to be a good watch based on all this kind of news.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a doubt that it's going to be a good show. I've seen a lot of people kind of like negative on it. I think like looking at the lineups of each match, like again, the one thing that's been a constant with WWE for the past year is that TV has not reflected how good the pay-per-views are. And this year has really gone to show that. I think a lot of the cards have been having so-so build, but really amazing actual, matches. But I would love to see what they're going to try and do. I don't see a slot for Undertaker to be in any of these matches, honestly. Do you?
Nah. No, please God, no. I think he's good. Send him off with the AJ match. That's pretty much it. I don't even think we need to build up another program, especially one that's going to be so rushed within the next 2 weeks. We don't need to do that. Just kind of send them off. Let's have the celebration. I think they're going to be Hall of Famers in attendance for it. I read somewhere that Savio Vega will be showing up at Survivor Series.
That's cool.
To send away Undertaker. So you know what? If this is the thing that we're having, if they're going to do this, WWE pay-per-views, the best thing about them over the last number of months is that they've been ended. I mean, they end 9:30 my time, but they end in like right before dinner for you. Yep. So that's been the best things about it. But if they want to extend this another hour and kind of like really go in and kind of do like the whole like raising the jersey in the Amway Center type of celebration, I'm 100% for it.
It's gonna have the American flag with the blue line in the middle, and I'm just really not gonna. I'm not gonna be for it,
Oh my God! Yes,
I'm sorry, Taker. I love you. Speaking of Thunderdome, WWE has to get the F out again of the Thunderdome this month. I think even before this, the news of the NBA season returning in December has actually probably sped this up a lot. Them coming back literally next month on the 22nd. But
that's fucking weird.
Closing down, WWE has been looking at other venues, namely a venue in, I believe, Tampa, a baseball stadium, to do the Thunderdome at, which is going to be weird to run a baseball stadium every single week. I don't know how they'll be able to do that, but
if it's anything like the AEW show, I'm sure they'll make a makeshift stage and sort of arena type of thing. I don't think we're going to get the whole baseball stadium or any sort of stadium like to fit in the show. I think the acoustics would be terrible on that.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm pretty sure they have a plan. I think the plan, right?
I know definitely their plan is we need something with fresh air because we want people back. Like, I'm 100% sure that they wherever they choose next will be where the Royal Rumble takes place. And they want somewhere where they can at least allow fans in to partake in the experience of the Royal Rumble. I'm sure that's what they kind of want to do. I'm not sure if it'll happen, considering like, yo, listen, when's the Royal Rumble? When's Joe Biden's inauguration? He might say, yo, y'all, it's clipped for all your little...
How do you think, I know we don't want to, I know we talked about it, but how do you think Vince is doing with the election? Vince and Linda. I know they're acting like it ain't happening, but it's happening.
Listen, Linda, she made that tweet.
Clipped.
Yeah, flamed her. Vince McMahon, still rich. I'm sure he like cares kind of, but not really. That's all I can say. I'm sure he just like, damn, the plug. You don't mess up the bag. Like that's what I'm assuming that's what he's saying.
It's funny that they have to leave now as this happens, because like that was his man $100,000. Like he was letting him do whatever he wanted to do. Now he got to go for show. For show, it's over. Biden coming through with the COVID task force. He's like, fuck.
Yeah, man. He's like, you got to really work at this. Damn. So I'm assuming that's going to be the case. They definitely want something with like open, fresh air so people can actually return and enjoy the Royal Rumble or enjoy wherever. They still want to have WrestleMania, whatever, Tampa Bay, et cetera, et cetera. I'm thinking there has been no official announcement yet, but that's what I'm assuming. They want to have the Royal Rumble there. So we'll see. I don't know where they're going to be. They got 2 weeks. They got 2 weeks to be somewhere else, essentially. It ends on November. It ends after Survivor Series is what I've read. Yep. However, they have until the first week of December to get all their cute little LED screens out of that damn arena. So we'll see what happens. If they end up at the Capitol Wrestling Center for a few shows, I'm pretty sure Roman won't be at those shows. But
he will be at home in that little room with the food plate. And the meat plate?
Absolutely. He's like, yo, we need a cinematic TLC because I ain't doing that where they at.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Oh, that'll be dope. A cinematic TLC would be fire. But yeah, so we'll see where they end up the next month. Well, actually, no, the next 3 weeks. Wow, they don't really have much time at all. But no. I'm hoping that they don't go back to the PC. The PC it needs to be. I don't think they're gonna go back to the PC. That's NXT world. That is the outbreak right there waiting to happen. That's not happening. Come on.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't do it. WWE ratings have kind of like tilted a little bit back up, and I think that's because of the Thunderdome and just because of that open atmosphere. To go back to there, they have to do tapings. They have to make sure everyone is scheduled to not be there and be there. It's way too much. Like I'm sure they 100% don't want to do it.
Moving on, we have a special episode of the G Show. I know, Meelz, you were like, y'all still do that?
I mean, yes, I did say that, but so here's the thing. I thought the G Show was exclusively G1, but now
it was. So we are, we're going to continue covering New Japan. A lot of people really enjoyed the G Show this year. We don't have a new name for it. So we're coming up with a name. So until then, we're going to run with the G Show branding. But this week, we're going to talk about Power Struggle and what is to come from Wrestle Kingdom 15 in 2 months at the Tokyo Dome. So we'll be talking about that. I thought the show was okay. This is just as a spoiler, but we're gonna dig deeper into that on the actual show. Meelz, you didn't actually watch Full Gear, did you? I didn't.
I didn't. Okay, so I attempted to, and not to say that it was bad or anything. I attempted to. So obviously they came up against a bad night. It was Biden's speech, victory speech, same night. He was crowned the winner the day of Full Gear. And he was like, listen, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, we there. So Full Gear had some competition, and they put on a really good match really good matches is kind of a stretch. I watched the Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page match, and that's kind of all I saw until Kamala Harris came on. So I didn't watch it. I tried to have it on in the background, but I was also doing other stuff. And then I think there was a long FTR Young Bucks match that I just wasn't interested in watching, and then I never returned to it.
Hell no. So
that's a long version of saying no, I didn't watch it.
Well, there you go. We were able to hear what Cyrus thinks about it this week on the War Report. Cyrus,
Bada boom, bada boom.
Cyrus actually had a fantastic episode last week with Jeff J. Shout out to Jeff for being on the show. I thought it was fantastic. So make sure you check that out on the Show RNC Network. But this week we're going to talk about Survivor Series, past Survivor Series matches. We put out a question on Twitter last week asking our listeners to tell me and Meelz what we should watch for Survivor Series matches, just so we can do a recap. I chose the 2014 main event. Meelz, what did you choose?
So I chose two. I chose Survivor Series 2001, which was WCW, ECW Alliance versus WWF. And then I also chose 2003, Team Eric Bischoff versus Team Stone Cold Steve Austin. And wow. Well, first of all, let me ask you this question, because we've had Survivor Series matches for over 30 years now. And we've seen a bunch of Survivor Series matches. What actually goes in to making a good Survivor Series match? What do you think?
What do you mean, like the planning that goes into it? Or
just like, okay, we've seen so many Survivor Series matches, but we've probably seen, like, I don't even want to say a handful, making a little bit more than a handful of actual good Survivor Series matches, like good Survivor Series, like main events or matches, 5-on-5s. What goes into, like, kind of like what makes you believe, like, oh, that one is good? Like going back to this 2014 one that you watched, What made that one good?
It was the action. And I think that the one that 2014 had, I think actually the 2017 one did really well, if I'm remembering that one correctly. And actually last year did really well, was the action. I thought that even though those were considerably shorter matches, the one from 2014 managed to keep you enthralled from start to finish. I honestly, and I watched this today, did not remember how engaging this match was. I mean, from the beginning when Mark Henry gets knocked out to the end when Sting appears, there was something to see in every single moment of this match, even if the competitors or the actual people that were in the match weren't people that you would immediately jump out to you and say, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. Ended up being way better than ones that come before it. And honestly, some of the ones that have come after it.
Yeah, I think honestly, though, what makes a great Survivor Series match and what makes one that's actually memorable, and I say this because of the two that I picked to watch, is that there's stakes on the line. And it shows with the one that you watched, too, because there's obviously some sort of drama alongside the fact that it was this 5-on-5 matches. I think there was a long low in the odds are just terrible for most things WWE wise. Like after you go past like 2005, it becomes pretty bad until maybe like 2000, like probably 14. But a lot of those matches were just like, here's some guys from Raw, here's some guys from SmackDown. We're going to mix, match, and put them together, and that's going to be the match. But I think once you have these stakes on the line, like we did with and I think a lot of the previous ones before 2001 as well. But I think 2001, the one that I watched with the Lions versus, the WWF, I thought that one was probably the most high-profile Survivor Series match of all time. Just because of how many Hall of Famers are in the match, I legitimately think everyone is a Hall of Famer who's in that match. Not current Hall of Famer, but if not current, future Hall of Famer. It had, it was The Rock, Undertaker, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Big Show versus Booker T, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, and Shane McMahon. So that already is a 5-on-5. That's like, all right, that's an Attitude Era who's who.
Yeah, that is one that you could that you could think to have in that.
And listen, everyone got a full entrance. So that's something that you never even see. Everyone got their full entrance. Austin hit all 4 turnbuckles in this thing. He wasn't letting anything slide. It's a full hour-long match, but it's just the action isn't as compelling as I'll say the 2014 one. I think the 2014 one, if you're talking about just an overall kind of like match itself, without the stakes attached to it, that one is probably better for me. But this one just has so much going for it. It was the build. It was the culmination to a storyline. It was like truly like Ragnarok. You know what I'm saying? Of like, I know, right? Building up to this massive storyline and having it end kind of there. It was incredible.
I think with 2014, it's very interesting to watch 2014 now with the way again, I hate to keep having these allegories to what's going on right now, but the Authority in a lot of ways kind of reflects what we see today, right? Like of just this oppressive system that is trying. It's and essentially 2014 is a battle of good versus evil, and there is a like ragtag, like literally it's Cena and a bunch of dudes.
Are any of them still employed? Except I think Ziggler is.
Ziggler is. Cena, come on, he's still there. Henry's retired. Rusev is not there. No. Man, no. I think the only people that are still here is Rollins, Cena, Big Show,
Ziggler.
still Ziggler. Yeah.
Wow. Look how. Listen, 6 years. That's it.
It's a lot can change. a lot can change, man. Like within the last couple of years, like we've seen a lot of changes. I think it's really funny when Rowan rolled out, and I was like, what? I didn't even remember that he was. Were the Wyatts broken up? Did they draft him to different shows at that point?
No, so the Wyatts at that time, they were kind of like split up. I think Bray Wyatt was drafted to a different show, and they decided that they were going to do different things with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, but they were on the same show. So Luke Harper gets drafted to Team Authority, and then Eric Rowan comes out kind of in response to it, and all he kind of has is like that one Stacy Keibler-ass kick that he does in his only moveset. But he comes out and now gets that adulation. And they tried the Eric Rowan push at that time because at the following pay-per-view at TLC, tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs, he was in a match versus Big Show in a stairs match. So they tried something. They 100% tried something at that point. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough, man. But it was a good match.
Success may vary on that. I'll go ahead and say this right now. I'll go 5 on that. I really enjoyed that match. I really did. It was
really good.
I thought that even if it was like 55 minutes, the 55 minutes was well earned. But that's the place I wanted to go to break.
And and I think it actually became like a legit match of the year contender because of how good it was. And I think a lot of it, that 2014 one, yes, the cops are here.
Let's go to break.
I think a lot of the 2014 one, what are they still doing here? Is because Ziggler was someone that it gave you something that you didn't really see coming. Obviously, anyone would thought that Cena would be the last man, but it was Ziggler who was kind of really, truly the sole survivor, which allowed a lot of people to get kind of behind it because it was someone that people wanted to get behind, and it just never really, truly happened. And we know Ziggler was in that space because Roman was not in that space. But it worked out. You know what I'm saying?
That show was interesting because Roman was supposed to be on that show, right? He had gotten injured.
Yeah, he was supposed to be. He tore hernia. I want to say hernia.
Mm-hmm. It was his hernia.
Yeah, so he had a hernia, so he was off that show and actually returned the following month at Tables, Ladder, Chairs, and Stairs. But he had that hernia, so I believe like it was supposed to be Roman, especially being that last person, and we're supposed to, get the build, you know what I'm saying? Like the build to obviously 2015, which ended up being Roman versus Brock at Mania. But we were supposed to get that build and it never really happened. But you know what? WWE, they're smart. They got there anyway. I want to give a shout out to the 2003 match too, because I think another thing that makes Survivor Series matches good is Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is just the GOAT at performing in these type of environments. In 2003 was Team Eric Bischoff versus Team Stone Cold Steve Austin, with the stakes on the line that if whoever lost would no longer be the co-GM of Raw. It would be a sole GM. It was either going to be Eric Bischoff or it was going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. So Stone Cold Steve Austin puts together a team. I think it's the Dudley Boys. It was the Dudley Boys, Rob Van Dam. Fuck, who else was on it? I'm trying to remember off the top. I don't know why I don't go to Wikipedia. Dudley Boys, Rob Van Dam, someone else who got eliminated. Oh, Booker T, and Shawn Michaels, who they played up the history on because Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold pretty much retired Shawn Michaels the first time. So they're playing it up. It's like, can he really trust him? Can he really it's ironic that Austin will have to put his faith in a guy who he kind of essentially took the business from.
Yeah, sent out. Yeah.
And Team Bischoff was, now that I have Wikipedia open up, it was Chris Jericho, Christian, Mark Henry, Randy Orton, and Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
Scott Steiner at the time was with Stacy Keibler, who was like, remember when they were battling over Stacy Keibler like in the summer, and then they just both decided to be assholes, both Test and Scott Steiner. So like Scott Steiner technically owned Stacy Keibler in this match. Like he like owned her as like, you're my property, et cetera, et cetera. It was just, wouldn't hold up currently in today's day. And Mark Henry was accompanied by Theodore Long because he was the biggest, strongest, blackest, most strongest man ever. Playa. But it was a great match. I think, albeit like a lot of the people who end up getting washed aside, I mean, the Dudley Boys, it was weird because it ended up going down between Shawn Michaels and Bubba Ray as the final two of the team. But it ended up, Bubba Ray got eliminated. So Shawn Michaels versus Christian, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton. And Shawn Michaels performed his ass off in that match, like more than his ass off. And it was an incredible finish. I recommend anyone go back and watch it. The finish is heartbreaking. Austin team loses. Austin is narrowly makes it back to the ring in time to like kind of do anything about it. And he just kind of has to just like, yo, Shawn, you gave it all that you can. As Shawn Michaels saying, I'm sorry. And he's like, listen, you gave all that you can, and that's all I can say. So yeah.
It was cool.
And then, yeah, it was cool. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin would become the sheriff like 2 weeks later.
Because you can't keep Austin off the show. And you can't keep us from talking about Raw and SmackDown from this week. So when we get back, we're going to talk about Raw and SmackDown from this week on the EA show when we get right back to you after the break.
We all need to chill. And I think I know exactly what we need to do.
The voice of reason. Yeah, the voice of reason right here. Riddle, what do you got?
Sick code names. AJ, you're the skipper. Braun, you're a mongoose. Keith, happy birthday, Keith. And Bro Lee, you get it.
That's actually sick.
And Sheamus, this was tough. But your Survivor Series team name is Fireface.
Fireface, yeah. Well, another ginger joke. Is that it? Because my face got red hair, red beard?
No ginger joke. It's just that when you get really angry, your face turns red.
It's kind of true. It's kind of true.
Just like right now.
So what's your code name then, huh? Dopey.
How'd you guess, bro? Yeah, Dopey.
That was crazy.
That was hilarious.
I can't believe they let that one get through.
You know what? I thought that segment might have been funnier not in the ring.
Yeah. I think it looked a little awkward in the ring, right?
Yeah, it was a little awkward in the ring because you're having like this personal conversation in front of like this whole thing. But I think if it was backstage, it would have been incredible. But it was still so super funny. Oh my God.
I absolutely love that segment. We're going to talk about it when we talk about Raw a little bit later, as well as Riddle's big night on Raw. But let's talk about SmackDown. Do you want to talk about SmackDown? Because that's your show, your SmackDown.
Of course.
Let's talk about it. But before we do that, the first thing on the docket for SmackDown is something that I want to have a name for this, and I call it Big Uce Town.
Okay.
You want to talk? So hold on, I got something for you. We're going to talk about Big Uce Town.
They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's part.
Big Uce Town, Meelz.
Bright like city life. I got
Roman Reigns.
This is where it goes down.
Jey Uso. Paul Heyman. Wheeling and dealing. Tribal Chief moves. What do you think about that? What do you think about
Samoan Book 2, my friend. But Listen, and especially if this ends up including Daniel Bryan, like it's going to eventually, and we had Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns last summer doing the power thing. Listen, continuity together. This is what this show provides. You know what I'm saying? Big Uce Town, latest episode, latest, things. First of all, I want to say I love the writing for it because there was something last week that I kind of pointed out where I don't think Jey Uso is completely still feeling Roman Reigns.
No,
and
they let that be very clear. They let that be very clear on SmackDown.
Yes, they let that be very clear this week on SmackDown, where Jey Uso, who was just, I don't even know, he was, I guess, coffee or something along those lines, he runs into his Survivor Series teammate, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is like, hey, man, a boot. You out here, man, and you're like, with Roman, you getting Roman's coffee or something like that? And he's just like, what you mean, fool? What you mean? Like, I'm getting no other man's coffee. I'm getting no man's coffee. And he was like, just joking, man, because, we're like Survivor Series partners, man. And that starts a whole thing. Paul Heyman gets involved. Kayla Braxton, who's just spicy for no reason. It's like, so Jay, you just doing whatever Roman tells you? And she's like, oh, come on, not you too, Kayla. And I was like, what is going on here? The story is that Jey Uso is now whipped by Roman Reigns. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on how this entire night kind of went with Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, and now their new relationship, new dichotomy?
Damn, Jay can't do nothing, huh? He can't do nothing. He's in hell, literally in hell. Like I thought it was really good showing the oppression of Jey Uso. I really want to say that I commend them for not being too quick to call this one and pull the trigger on something here or pull the trigger on him turning. Like they're going to do something very big with this. And I think that we're going to see a lot of this come out through Survivor Series as well. But what I would really like to see is more people join onto the faction, like to see like where it will go if other people were a lot more loyal to Roman than Jey is, right? Like you always want to have that one dissenter, but you always have to have that one person that's super loyal, like Murphy was with Seth, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I feel like they're just going to do like, not only Samoans and people who know Samoans, no Shorty G's, no anybody else, no, none of that. But it was an incredible story, and especially leading to the main event, which was Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso, as Jey Uso is like, pretty much Roman Reigns is like, yo, don't ever let him talk about your family like that. Don't ever let that white man talk about Samoan heritage and everything that we represent. You go out there and you beat his ass. And sure enough, Jey Uso, who is undefeated against people not named Roman Reigns, goes out and beats Kevin Owens.
How do you feel about him beating like top stars 3 weeks in a row?
I'm not mad. I'm just not. I don't know. They're doing stuff with him. Let's continue to build up. It's all in service of the storyline. I think they're still trying to tell the character that Jey Uso is no longer just a like tag team guy. He's formidable. At least in that. He's formidable. Even being on the Survivor Series team shows that he's formidable. But I
still am not too sold on him as a singles guy fully. I think that again his moveset.
He's still like one half of a wrestler that you feel like.
Yeah, like I feel like his moveset still works best with another guy that's doing a hot tag or him doing the hot tag coming in. I really don't buy like the splash being like because the thing is the splash would be after Jimmy would do something, or after Jimmy would do the super kick, or after Jimmy would do, you know what I'm saying? Like the splash itself to me doesn't hit as hard as other finishers do. So I don't know. I'm not fully on board with solo Jey Uso unless he's next to Roman. But those matches are so much more storyline than they are word, So it is very interesting to see him getting these wins off these guys.
100%. Another thing that happened on SmackDown this week, I want to touch on this quickly because since we're in Survivor Series territory, more people qualified for Survivor Series teams this week. We got a match between Rey Mysterio and King Corbin, which I think if they gave a lot more time and Rey Mysterio wasn't wrestling in Yeezys, it could have been a great match. And Baron Corbin qualifies for Survivor Series, beating up Rey Mysterio. We get into a little bit more news about how and what and everything that kind of happened there. Ruby Riott.
Tired of this storyline, bro. Is it going to end in a wedding?
It might. That would be, you put an idea in their head. Oh my God. Okay.
Is this going to be, is Buddy going to?
All right. So let's talk about the storyline then. I was going to come back to it, but let's talk about the storyline here. So the storyline is that it weaves into the other qualifying match, which is Otis versus Seth Rollins, which is my fave. Anytime I can see Otis's head get stomped into a mat, I'm 100% for it. King Corbin qualifies, but not without some shenanigans by Seth Rollins, who attacks Dominic while he's there, distracting Rey Mysterio. Otis and Seth Rollins have their match, but it's Buddy Murphy who comes down. Buddy Murphy in the I think it's a corduroy, like red, crimson, burgundy sort of number. Obviously, you see the drip is starting to, it's starting to thing from Miss Aaliyah Mysterio into him. She maybe picked out the pants. I don't know. But Otis and Seth Rollins, Murphy comes in. He gets involved on behalf of Seth Rollins. And it is over with. It is over with. It is done. Seth Rollins qualifies. And it looks like for a brief moment that there is a reunion between Murphy and Rollins, where Murphy says backstage, "Disciple, and you are the leader." And Seth Rollins is completely for it. And immediately after that, Aaliyah shows up. First of all, in a freakum dress. Not sure why she was dressed that way.
She was like running down the door. I was like, "Yo, are they going to Yard House after this?
There's a whole slit in her dress. I was like, yo, Ray, put a jacket on her or something. I don't know. Something. Jesus Christ. I don't know where she was going after that, but nonetheless.
Her and Murphy had a hot date. You know what I'm saying? They in Florida. Nothing closed down there, baby. You know what I'm saying? I feel it.
Only thing hot in Florida is the COVID. She pretty much was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, listen, I got a plan. They're extending this further. They just are. It's going to extend out. This has more twists and turns and ridiculousness than anything else. I have no idea where they're going with this. I just really don't.
I don't either at this point. Give them something else to do. Ray wrestling without his gear was the most hilarious thing I saw on SmackDown.
It was funny. I liked it. It was a nice touch. Also, King Corbin just like decking him before the match for no reason, just because he's an asshole. Also qualifying for Survivor Series, Ruby Riott.
I love the new look. I got a soft spot in my heart for Ruby. You already know that.
I feel like she, obviously Shotzi kind of has the long green hair. So I think she went back short, and fair enough. It's an exclusive Ruby Riott original look, and I'm here for it. She wins triple threat match. Natalya, I believe it was Natalya, Zelina, and Ruby Riott. Somehow Natalya, who's had 2 opportunities to get in this match, has failed at both. And now it's Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair on the team for SmackDown. We still have to fill out the rest of the team. Not sure where this goes, to be honest with you. But if I had to compare them to the Raw team, they don't have that much competition, to be honest with them. It's a Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax heavy team. Yeah.
I think the SmackDown and women's roster, or the SmackDown and Raw women's rosters are like, they need a lot of work.
Yeah.
The fusion of talent here. Do you think that Bayley could be on this team?
So yeah, I do think Bayley could be on this team, and that segues into the next point. So we had the championship rematch between Sasha Banks and Bayley. Bayley did God's work in this match, and not to say that Sasha Banks needed it, because Sasha Banks is a perfectly capable wrestler, but I can't think of how much that Bayley gave to Sasha Banks in this match alone. Because my point last week that I was holding on to, this is the hot take that I'm still holding on to.
Here we go.
Sasha Banks, she's won it 5 times, but Sasha Banks' character is not a championship holding character. And I'll say this, and here's where I'll make the comparison. Look at her and also look at The Rock. who I think their personalities and their brash attitudes, a lot of it doesn't lend to being in a championship fighting from beneath, fighting anything character. Usually they like to be one up at all times ever. Sasha Banks, I think this was a great match to be like, okay, she can fight, but I think Bayley gave so much. Bayley let her kick out of everything. And I mean everything. To give her like, okay, so let's at least get you on your way. But I still think the verdict is out on whether Sasha Banks is a good actual like champion, or does she even need to be a champion? Because
I'll agree with you on her being more so of a great character than a great champion. I think that everyone wants this like long 1 year reign, and I think that other people just really want great matches. And I think those two aren't really mutually exclusive. They're you can be great, you can be in the Hall of Fame without having 14 title reigns. I think that there are certain people that works for, like a Charlotte, like Becky, like a Asuka. For certain people, you could be fine with them just having, like Shawn Michaels didn't have a lot of reigns. He had like 4, and he's favorite. People consider him like one of the greatest of all time. You know, like a lot of people didn't have a lot of reigns, and I know they don't hand them out like water nowadays. But again, like with Sasha, I look for great matches, and I thought the Bayley match was cool. But I think at this point, I'm just ready to see her move on.
It's interesting because this is now her first like champion. She's got past the first opponent. So we're really in uncharted territory, believe it or not. She's had 6 championship reigns, and now she's finally past the first opponent. So we'll see how it goes. After the match with Bayley, she was attacked by the untouchable Carmella, who made her return with new gear, new everything to attack Sasha Banks. And I mean, I have varying thoughts, but this is the first time, believe it or not, that we will see a Carmella versus Sasha Banks feud or even a one-on-one match, which is something that rarely happens considering WWE, where things cross so many damn times. And the fact that we have not seen a Carmella versus Sasha Banks match, not in NXT, not in WWE, this is the first time ever. I'm going to ask you your thoughts first. What are your thoughts on how this is going to go?
Well, at least we know Sasha's going to win.
Okay.
She's going to win. I think it is kind of green to set Carmella up to lose like her first like big revamp of her character. She's going to probably lose to Sasha in the next, imminently. I do think Carmella will probably be on the Survivor Series team. On the pay-per-view, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I think more than anyone, even if Carmella is not your favorite, I do think she does try. And
she has moments.
Yeah, I think she will at least. I think Charlotte got a lot out of her a year or so ago, or 2 years ago. I thought she got a lot out of her. Asuka couldn't get anything out of her, and that's what scares me. I think that's what scares a lot of people because she couldn't get anything out of Asuka, and Asuka could wrestle a lamppost, and it'd be great.
I think the reason Charlotte got so much out of Carmella is because I felt like in that match, Charlotte was pushing Carmella. She was like, yo, do more. Give me more. Push that. I don't know if that's Sasha Banks' style. I don't know if it's Asuka's necessarily style. Asuka kind of like goes with the flow. Sasha Banks also goes with the flow. But it felt like Charlotte was pushing Carmella and be like, yo, give me everything that you've got. And Charlotte gave Carmella a lot in those matches. But the thing is, it's like with this Carmella Sasha Banks match, and I know we haven't seen it before, so I don't want to comment too much on like how it'll be. But with Carmella as the heel in this match, that means she's going to have a lot of the offense. Carmella as a heel has no offense. She has punches, she has kicks, she has punches, and she has kicks.
She's still going to moonwalk?
No, she doesn't moonwalk. She's untouchable now. She's far past the moonwalk. And here's the other thing about the untouchable gimmick. Why is she untouchable? They have yet to make that connection of like why. It's a cool thing to say, but you got to prove why you're untouchable. And I think, honestly...
Sasha didn't touch her on
Friday? Hey. You know what? Fair. But her gimmick is now like wine spritzers and like, boob cleavage and all this other stuff like that.
Boob cleavage.
Listen, she knows what she's doing. But I think honestly, if I had to book this Carmella thing, and maybe we're going too long on this, if I had to book the Carmella thing, I would have booked her as a person for someone who needs it, like a valet or a manager or something, or at least have a heater. She needs a heater.
Well, maybe she could get that, but I'm going to call foul on the valet thing. She did that with R-Truth for a year. She did not want to do it anymore. I think that she did a fantastic job with R-Truth, and that's over for her.
I think she needs a heater because there needs to be, and that's probably the better thing. I think she needs a heater because there needs to be a reason why she's untouchable and cannot be touched. Well, and if anything, you will be touched.
Looking at SmackDown, it'll probably be Tamina. I'm thinking, looking at SmackDown, it'll probably be Tamina.
They need give her like a Basham Brothers or something. I don't know, something. It's some guys who take some bumps.
Well, here's the thing. She had like the subservient male guy. Like she's done every female archetype on WWE that they have to offer right now. Like she's had the James Ellsworth thing with the subservient guy that's always, under her thumb. Like she's done it before.
But she hasn't been untouchable.
All right.
I don't know. It's whatever. SmackDown was a decent show. We got the continued humanization of Lars Sullivan, where he talks about the importance of bullying. We got, I thought, a funny segment with New Day and the Street Profits and Billie Kay. And that was an awkward, delicious. She's great, right?
And we're going to have that convo real soon.
We're going to have one. Yes, she wrestles like Kristen Wiig, but yes, she is personality at the forefront.
Now, if you want to talk about a valet, that's your valet.
She would be a great valet. I think she would be also like a great like assistant to Pierce kind of thing, where she's able to. It's not so much a subservient character as much as she's able to play off her character with a lot of different folks, and just kind of be like the bumbling, kind of stupid, kind of like, what have I got myself into kind of thing that she usually does. And she'll fall into like a championship or something along those lines. Kind of like Eve. Remember Eve back in the day when she was
Eve ended up being really tight though. Like she ended up being really dope.
I think this could be that, but like with more like hijinks and people falling over into stuff. So who knows?
Let's talk about Raw.
What is there to talk about?
Well, here's the thing about Raw. I didn't completely hate the show like last week. I think that there are really some cool things on Raw. I enjoy the Drew McIntyre Sheamus thing they're hinting at.
Okay,
I enjoy the AJ Styles stuff. I think it's really actually pretty funny. I enjoyed Ali, his promos and him getting into the ring again. Where it really stops is that there's a lot of stuff in between that is not good. Or I enjoy Randy Orton too, but there's a lot of things that are not good. And I think that those things are really highlighted when it's a 3-hour show. If it's a 2-hour show and you had these storylines, Meelz, we would love Raw every week because it would move so quick. But when you have, the beginning, Drew comes out and they have all that segment, but then you got to get a 7-man 24/7 title match. That's what drags the show down to me. And SmackDown doesn't have that. It has just straight up, they're going to give you what you want to get in and get out. Raw, they have 3 hours to fill, and you just can't fill it with all of these programs. You just can't.
No, you're right. It's a detriment. It's still a detriment. I'm wondering if they'll never go back to 2 hours, so it's no sense in asking. But I'm wondering if they'll ever, and it's weird because 3 hours is just a weird pace wrestling show. It's like 2 hours is like legitimately like the perfect touch. I don't know if they ever fix this. They haven't really fixed it in the last like decade since they've been 3 hours. So it is what it is. But yeah, I was half in and half out on Raw. There were things I didn't want to see. The triple threat match between Jeff Hardy, Riddle, and Elias, didn't want to see.
That was the weird match because Jeff and Elias already didn't work. And then you add Riddle, who's admittedly way more crisp than both of them, and he was just literally trying to like wrestle around them, and it was very odd to watch.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because I knew who the winner was, and I was just like, just get me to the winner. I really don't care about seeing them wrestle, which is wild. It's the same thing with the 7-way. Granted, there are a lot of title changes, but it was the same way with the 7-way. It was like, I don't care about this. I also thought
Kentucky in that match,
he's doing something now, so people can stop complaining. And he got a couple title reigns off of it too. So he won a title before Otis, if anyone cares or counts. I didn't see much tweets about it.
Otis.
But I also thought Titus O'Neil versus Bobby Lashley was terrible.
It was awful, but like it goes into what Raw is: good moments, sometimes bad execution, or just really shitty programs. It's like Titus's promo was actually dope. Then he started wrestling.
And I was like, yo, did you forget? Like,
I think he did. When he started throwing those punches, he almost slipped in them little church shoes he was wearing. He almost slipped in them. What the hell?
He messed up the Irish whip. They didn't know where they were going. I think Bobby wanted to take it some way, and then Titus was like, nah, let's add some extra punches on. It's like, I was like, where are we go? Maybe he's just been so Raw Underground that he doesn't even know how to like wrestle anymore. I don't know. It was a sad sight to see.
It was a big night for Riddle. We knew that the push was coming. We knew the name change meant big push, and he definitely got a push this week. Wrestled 2 matches, won both of them during the night, and also had a lot of mic time. Meelz, how do you feel about the way they're pushing Riddle now and really putting him to the forefront? Not a lot less of the, but when they first debuted him, he had a lot of nicknames, and now he's just straight up Riddle, and he's allowed to kind of once again be himself. I felt like that promo was literally who he was in NXT, what they were allowing him to be before he left, and they brought it back to Raw, and largely I felt like it worked. How'd you feel?
All right, so if I see Riddle on paper, I'm like, is this guy like a Riddler or something? I feel like Matt added good context to the Riddle part, but you know what? We're Riddle. This is Riddle era, etc. He did great on Raw. He just did. This was his moment to shine. I felt like he was like, yeah, this is the moment he's been waiting for. And whether or not Seth Rollins likes it, he's facing Matt Riddle at Survivor Series.
But it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And you know what? He might face Goldberg one day too, and he might face Brock Lesnar one day too. But
yeah, once you get into that rarefied air of
one name,
of one name, and then you get the push with it. It's pretty much over with, and I don't see him being like a Cesaro level type guy for these people. We always said this ever since last summer when he got called up. He's going to be factored in very, very big into their plans, regardless of what's going on. And we'll have to see what happens, what goes on in his extracurricular part of his life before that. But it looks like on TV he's going to be factored in very, very well into Raw.
I agree.
So Ali versus Ricochet. What'd you feel about this?
Very good. I'm not even going to lie to you. It was amazing. I mean, why would I lie? It was amazing. It was the culmination of, I think, a lot of reps on main event. A lot of knowing what both of them are capable of doing and getting the time to actually do it. And telling the story and giving Retribution kind of their first notable win since they formed. So right. I thought it was great if Mustafa Ali would have lost, I would have looked at that match a little bit differently. Like I would have just been like, what? Like, but they made the right decision this time. He won a bunch of other things. I thought it was great. Just both effort. Keep both of them on Raw. It's weird they continue to not find anything for Ricochet to do.
It looks like this is the direction for him though.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the story for Ricochet is he's one guy. He chose not to be with the Hurt Business. He chose not to be with Retribution. He chose to be on his own.
And both of his friends left him for cool people. Like
exactly. and I think that will be the story is will Ricochet change? And again, it gives him some direction. And I keep saying this, it's a part of Raw. Very cool moments, some cool things that I like to see. And then you run into stuff like Asuka versus Nia Jax or Lana, the Lana Shayna Baszler match.
Right. Yeah.
Which was just, and again, I know we said we would be scared if we didn't see Asuka this week. We saw Asuka this week, and she was wrestling. So she
beat up Nia Jax. I didn't see the point in that. I thought we were establishing a new contender or something. Like I wouldn't have been mad if Nia won, but
she lost. Probably get the ring rust off. She got a big match with Sasha in just about a week and a half. So, we'll be
she's out here flipping big old Nia Jax all over the mat, and
I dug Asuka's her work in that match. I just feel like the Lana thing, and again, it goes right back to it. Lana has some good moments, some good characterization. They fully managed to slowly babyface her, even in light of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, who we thought were babyfaces coming into this. Lana looks more like the good guy here than anybody on that team.
Yeah, because Dana and what's her face, Mandy, one rightful assholes to her. They're like, listen, yes, you cost her for a match, but like, listen, we didn't do this for you. We did this to make a statement. And I was like, all right, shut up.
We're helping her just because y'all didn't like that. Y'all didn't like them. Like that's weak as hell, yo.
And she was like, and Lana was having that moment. She's having her actor's moment, her little pitch perfect ass actor's moment. And she was like, listen, no one likes me. So maybe Lana's got to do stuff what's best for Lana. And maybe she needs to do that in the future because she got put through a table 8 times and it doesn't look like it's going to stop.
So she stands up to the damn bully. And then we have the Drew, Randy, Fiend thing, which kind of intersected with Alexa.
Did Fiend show up? Oh.
He did it. He didn't show up this week.
All right.
No Fiend, just Alexa and Nikki. Alexa choosing to go towards Bray Wyatt here. I'm guessing that's going to be Alexa's storyline going forward. But
Nikki needs new friends. Nikki needs to give it up. She's gone.
How you gonna tell her to choose her or some other dude? Nikki just coming at this friendship thing all wrong.
Yeah, I think she needs to team up with Lana or something.
I was trying to turn you away from like the crack pipe. I wouldn't say the pipe or me. You would say, hey, let's get you some help. Let's take you to therapy or something like that. You're talking about no, you gotta choose him or me. No, that's not how you do it. Like Nikki, come talk to me. We'll talk about how to get your friend back with you. But just you going way too hard trying to get her to choose. Like you're being too strong. You feel me? Like you're coming on way too strong trying to get her to pick one vice over you. Like what do you have to offer? You're not giving her powers.
Listen,
you don't have the fun house, whatever. You don't got puppets. Come on.
Crack pipe. Wow.
Hey, that's how I feel. You feel me?
I feel you. The Drew, Randy, New Day, Miz intersection of everything, I thought worked out really well.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty natural despite all parties. And this is something that they need to incorporate a lot more during Raws. Like you've seen various storylines kind of intersect. Why New Day is facing Miz and Morrison? I don't know, because they have to face the Hurt Business next week. I'm still not clear of why Randy wasn't just teaming with the Hurt Business. He's teaming with Miz and Morrison.
Oh, you know why I didn't team with the Hurt Business? Because it's Africans only. They don't team with white people.
Ooh, interesting. As shown by the Drew Gulak thing, which was hilarious.
Yes. Again, like it sounds like we really. Like it's not like we said we didn't like this show. We thought the show was okay or just like below average. But there are really some good bright spots here. But you could probably YouTube all of them because
it's a good YouTube show. It's definitely a better YouTube experience.
So what I wanted to talk about with Randy was his change to his paranoid self. I think that he came out very confident 2 weeks ago.
Came out strong,
calling himself the legend, and now he's like stressed out. He's looking behind his shoulders. He's like, yo, like who's trying to take my belt? He's even afraid of the Miz. And I thought that was a really good
as he should be. As he fucking should be.
Here we go. Stop it.
What 10 years ago, bro? He remembers. He 100% remembers. Because guess what? He didn't get that title back. I'm just letting you know. He didn't get that title back when the Miz took it. Just letting you know. Don't cricket me. All right, don't cricket me.
Cricket Wireless, the Miz's favorite brand.
I have another thing. I feel like Jeff Van Gundy when I see those Cricket Wireless ads.
You feel like they're targeting certain people?
Of course, but they're using the wrong people to target people. What the fuck is Ms. Natalia and Charlotte going to do for the hood?
The Street Profits are on a cricket commercial. You already know what it is. So I understand the messaging they're putting Charlotte, Talia, and behind that, because it becomes a different type of message when you put the black superstars on that commercial.
First of all, they used to have Bailey and Sasha going to Compton signing autographs for Cricket Wireless, which, you know what, it's completely fine. But the branding with the Miz and stuff, it's in Charlotte and all this other stuff. Listen, Charlotte ain't going to Compton to sign no damn phones. I'm telling you that right now. You better prepay, pick it up. But back to the actual task.
We just want to know on a gentrification aside here on the A show. We're super political now. This is Pod Save America wrestling version.
I like Randy this week. I like Randy despite it all.
So he has a title match between himself and Drew McIntyre next week,
which is a great idea. Fucking amazing idea.
And we do know that before Survivor Series, the week before, we've seen this before, the week before, there's always a title change. We have this, and we also have the tag team title change, the tag team title match next week between the New Day and the Hurt Business. Does Randy flip the title here back to Drew to get Drew and Roman? I really think that this is a big possibility, because I do not think they go heel versus heel with Roman. It just does not fit.
I think if they were smart, I think they'd flip the title back. I think they would. I think we're not. I mean, the thing is, if you put Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, I think people are still going to cheer whoever the hell they want to cheer anyway. I think it's going to be a solid match. So it doesn't truly matter whether who's going into Survivor Series. For me, I think people will still cheer for the RKO. I still think it's going to end up being like the Bryan versus Lesnar type of deal, where people are still going to cheer whoever they want to cheer anyway. So I think that's kind of out the window. But having that match the week before, I think it's such a good ploy to get people to tune into Raw after so many weeks of like nothing really to give for us to tune into Raw. And you have the Fiend looming in the background. You have the Miz looming in the background. You've created the scene that's now
Sheamus looming in the background.
Sheamus as well.
Because Sheamus wants Drew to be on the Survivor Series team, replacing someone. So there's a lot of machinations going on in the background of Raw that make this match actually pretty interesting. Will they capitalize on it? Who the hell knows? But I do think, as you said, it is a good ploy to get us to tune in and have something to talk about going into that big Survivor Series next Sunday.
I agree. Sidebar. I made a tweet on Twitter. I've done some Meelz booking. #Meelz booking, by the way.
Oh no.
I've crafted the Ali versus Kofi Kingston program for Wrestlemania already. Would you like to hear it?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. We need sound effect for Meelz booking. You need to work on that.
Effect. I got the sound effect. I got a sound effect for Meelz.
No, don't you dare.
I got the sound effect. You ready for the sound effect for Meelz booking?
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, this one. No, not that.
What kind of Linda McMahon ass music is that?
Oh, not that. We can't do that.
I mean, we'll figure it out. I got
right here.
Okay. All right. See, there you go. So I plotted out. I was on my way. I was walking somewhere yesterday, and I was listening to Chad Gable on. No, actually, it wasn't that thing. I saw on Instagram, Ali posted a clip of his interview with Corey Graves on that WWE podcast thing that they do that they won't let us have any guests on. But I was listening to him, and he was talking about, he essentially like corroborated, the story that we had on, our 3-year shows. Like, listen, it was supposed to be me. I'm mad that it didn't happen. And who knows what could have happened. So
yeah,
I'm like, okay.
Ali actually confirmed our scoop.
Yes, 100% confirmed our scoop.
Awesome.
So I've had this idea, and it starts with Kofi Kingston, current tag team champion, and eventually, Ricochet ends up having some trouble. Ricochet things. It leads to the Royal Rumble. And while they're not having a match at the Royal Rumble, they're all featured in the Royal Rumble. Mustafa Ali is in the Royal Rumble solely because he wants a WWE Championship opportunity. And none of Retribution, none of the other guys in the Royal Rumble. Sorry, guys. You're only being represented by Mustafa Ali. Sorry if I offended. Kofi Kingston eliminates Mustafa Ali from the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
And he is sick. He is mad. He is furious. There ends up being a tag team championship match because Ali calls out the New Day and is like, listen, I want a piece of the New Day. That's all I want to do. They have a tag team championship match. Retribution DQs themselves. You know why? Because Mustafa Ali never wanted the tag team championships. He wanted the WWE championship. And the only person who ruined that for him was Kofi Kingston. And the one person he's going to step on to get to that and has to make things right with his retribution is Kofi Kingston. So they go back and forth. There's a war of words. It ends up being this real, like they have in the future, this real shooty segment. There's a pay-per-view in February or something, Roadblock or something along those lines.
One of those.
Elimination Chamber, Roadblock, something. I don't know. No, let's go Elimination Chamber. Big E's featured Elimination Chamber. He's got a championship shot looming in the background. If he makes it through Elimination Chamber, he could face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. This would be what everyone wanted. He doesn't make it to the match because he's been beat up by Retribution. Yes, they're on different shows, but whatever. This is a pay-per-view. They're both on the same. I'm not going to act like they're not in the same building. Kofi Kingston becomes furious because now it's personal. Now you've taken away the possible Kofi Mania for Big E from Mustafa and from Big E. Similar to what? But Mustafa Ali is like, this is what you did to me 2 years ago. You took that opportunity away from me. If he can't have it, you can't have it. It's leading up to this big match. You know, it's like, oh, it's going to be Ali versus Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania. And then I think maybe we'll end up like, I'm still like contemplating if I want to flip it to like a New Day reunion versus Retribution.
That'd be
because
cool.
I think that would be cool as well. It'd give them something to do, and I think it would give people a lot of purpose.
People would be so pissed that Big E was in that because they think that he's like gonna win the title. And I hate to tell you guys, it does not right now look promising on that end for that.
I agree. And I think this would be a great program to like, okay, it's a Raw and SmackDown type of thing. You're going to have Big E eventually show up. I mean, Retribution is going to be beating down Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania. They're going to be beating them down because there's 5 of them and 4 and Mia Yim. 5. She kicks butt, but they're going to be beaten down every week. And it's like, listen, there's no way that I can do this until Big E returns. And suddenly New Day's at full strength. They've got the unicorn power. They've got everything that kind of going on and be leading to this eventual, 3-on-4 tag team match at WrestleMania.
Okay.
And it's personal. And it's something. And then you eventually, maybe at a Backlash or something, you do the Kofi Kingston, Mustafa Ali match. And they kind of settle it there.
Wouldn't it be stronger to just do Kofi and Mustafa on WrestleMania card, and then the next pay-per-view to do like the big kind of like, because
you don't want to reel it. I mean, you can definitely do that, and then if we do that way, if we do Mustafa Ali versus Kofi Kingston on WrestleMania, Big E does a run in for WrestleMania, so he has a big WrestleMania moment where he returns from his injury and he spears like 3 members of Retribution through the ropes or something along those lines. And it's a big pop, depending if people are there or not. And it's a feel good moment. I don't know. I've been plotting this in my head. I feel like there's definitely a storyline leading to WrestleMania surrounding Kofi Mania, surrounding Big E's thing to WrestleMania, surrounding Ali wanting Retribution for not making it to WrestleMania. And that's Meelz Booking.
There you go. There you have it. Meelz Booking. I'll send this over to Bruce Pritchard. If anyone knows Bruce, make sure you send him this episode, complete with the crickets as well. Thank you all for listening to The A Show, episode 160. You can subscribe to us at The A Show RNC on Twitter. Not on Twitter. Whoops. It's the names. on iTunes and Spotify. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can follow us at The A Show RNC on Twitter. We are very active on there. We're doing live tweets. We're talking about the shows. We're talking about all types of stuff. Leave us a comment there. Let us know what you want to hear from us and what you want to see us talk about on The A Show every single week. Of course, we have a good episode of the G Show. We're going to rename this, but we're going to be talking about the Power Struggle show and the Wrestle Kingdom shows coming up, as well as shows like the War Report with Cyrus. It's a fantastic episode last week. Make sure you listen to that, and an episode this Friday as well as Spot Callers, which we're going to be reviewing TNA again. Once again.
I mean, you're making very good use of your subscription that you have paid a month for, and you will 100% be using. So I'm not mad at it.
I am at 2 months now. So
oh, wow.
Did
you forget to unsubscribe? Like,
I've been forgetting, and me and Cyrus have just been like, oh, we're going to do it today. And we end up.
You're lucky this is an Amazon Prime type of deal where they're like, yup, you paid for an entire year.
I know, but it's only $7. I'm not mad at it. I'll probably just let it lapse after this month. But we'll be reviewing another TNA show this month for Spot Caller. So stay tuned to figure out which one that is about. But until then, next week, we have the Survivor Series prediction show. So we should have a clear view of who is on the teams by Friday, I hope, SmackDown. And we'll be able to talk about what's going on with that show, and if Drew McIntyre or Randy Orton are still the champion, or the New Day or the Hurt Business are still the champions by that time. So for Meelz, I am Justin. Thank you all for listening to The A Show, and we'll see you next week.